Namaste. Gems from Savitri. And today we read something about the peak of the little mind, which is the rational mind. So, little mind has three layers: the physical mind, the vital mind, and the rational mind, or the mental mind, whatever way you want to put it. And equally, there are three layers beyond the rational mind: the higher mind, the illumined mind, and the intuitive mind. And beyond, if you go, there is the overmind, which is the junction, and then supermind also has three layers, and beyond it, you have Satchidanand, the threefold. So, now, ordinarily, as of now, we think we have reason as the highest faculty, and we believe that by reason we can, make this world better. And as always in life, you have to try out with whatever you have till you realize its natural limitations. The problem is if you don't go through that evolutionary passage, and this is relevant to what we were discussing also, and prematurely you want to skip a step, it has its dangers. I'll tell you a simple thing like now Sri Aurobindo has said that one has to go beyond reason. Actually, all mystics say that you have to go beyond the mind, but what they mean is the spiritual mind. Now, the moment you say that you have to go beyond reason, it doesn't mean you become unreasonable. Supra-rational is not infra-rational. So, reason has its place. So, unless we understand what is its place, that's why in human psychology, Sri Aurobindo says the office of reason. So, what is the task of reason? The task of reason is it cannot know. Why? Because it depends for its data on the senses. So even if you analyze all the data, at the very root, the beginning, the data is inadequate because senses are very limited. But if reason opens up or the mind opens up to a higher light, through the rain of intuition, you can start receiving some bits and of authentic knowledge. Ultimately, knowledge will be a knowledge by identity. It's logical. Just the reason itself will tell us. How can you know indirectly about anything by any instrument unless you completely identify? Its practical instances are that a mother, when the baby is in the womb, the mother knows more about the baby than the baby knows at one level. And later on also, until the baby develops, how are they led? So, because they are so much identified. So, actually, again, when you are going through a state, let's say an emotional state, you are angry. Sometimes people don't show their anger. So, outwardly, people may analyze, try, but they won't know exactly what you are experiencing unless they become one with you. Isn't it so? So, ultimately, true knowledge is only knowledge by identity. This is easy to understand by reason. Is it possible to do it in human life? There are examples that it can happen. It happens spontaneously. Is it possible to develop it? Now that's what Sri Aurobindo says. The divine knows everything by identity because he has become all this. He is all this. So he knows. So if by some means we can become one with the divine, then we can know about everything by identity. Now there are two ways of becoming one with the divine. One is leaving the creation completely and taking a plunge into the divine. So the divine itself has two poises, if we want to put it oversimplifying. One poise is where it is turned away from the creation. There is a poise of the divine before the creation starts. Same, Satchidanand. And there is a poise when the Satchidanand is ready for the creation, and there is a third where it leans towards creation. The moment, if you identify with this aspect which is leaning towards creation, then you can know everything, all the law of everything by identity. This Satchidanand leaning towards creation is what is the supermind. Through the supermind, the divine is in touch with everything and knows it in its true law of fulfillment. But it's possible to identify with the divine without going through the supermind. One can directly take a leap. Even at level of mind, one can just take a leap and experience the Satchidanand because it's everywhere. As Mother describes, it's like a ladder of consciousness. But you won't know the law of each thing. You won't understand creation because to understand creation, one has to touch that point where the one becomes many. If you don't touch that point, one will never know about creation. One will have the experience of the divine. This is what has happened till now. So, if by some means our mind can open to the higher ranges, now It's not about just becoming one with the divine, but this is a progressive unfolding. Rational mind has to go through several kinds of moldings, because rational mind has created so many compartments. If it shatters by the direct supramental light, it will go crazy. See, you must have read about experiences of Gangadharanji, no? Gangadharanji used to have these experiences, golden light and all this, but he had lost his mind, because later on, of course, he, mother's grace abundantly, but because there are instances where you cannot receive that light, so you have to go through steps and stages. So beyond the little mind, there is the greater mind, and as the rays enter and we become more and more prepared by this, then one is ready one day to receive that ultimate truth where all is known by a sheer identity. But at the level of reason, one cannot. So reason, what does it do? Reason tries to balance. But what is the role of reason? Does the reason drop when a new light comes? No. Then reason becomes the organizer. That's what its role is, to formulate things. So when Sri Aurobindo writes, many people mistakenly think that, Sri Aurobindo has written everything very rationally. He has used reason to express things which are supra-rational, which is quite different from using reason to arrive at conclusion. And Sri Aurobindo himself has clarified it. So you receive the truth, but because if you have a developed reason, reason will organize things in a very nice way. But if you don't have the faculty of reason, you will receive the light, but you won't be able to give it any form, any shape. You will say, this is a very wonderful aha experience. Now the risk is that if prematurely man leaps from, let us say, the vital mind to the higher ranges without going through the rational mind, what will happen? He will mix up imagination with intuition. Number one. Number two, he may end up with the infra-rational and mistake it for the supra-rational. He will start, many people, if you see the way WhatsApp goes around, even people who are apparently, acha degree hai, everything, they have studied, gone through a logical process, still they tend to believe everything that comes in WhatsApp is true. I'm giving you one common example. Morphed photos, this, that, everything, because you like it. Now, why do we call it true? Because we like. Something comes which we like. So we say, this is true. Now you see how the mind has operated in a split second. It has accepted a premise or an information as true because the mind wants it to be true. So we accept it as true. And these are the many blinders. And reason, what does it do? It tends to remove those things slowly. It's a very hard process, difficult process, and it can never know the truth, but it can remove all these prejudices, true reason, the true office of reason. And it can take you to a point, prepare you to a point. After that, you have to come out of the car of reason and walk under the sun. So this is the basic thing Sri Aurobindo is revealing here in this passage. At the end of the little mind, and the last product of reason is, collectively, reason believes in democracy. It's the gift it can give. Because reason cannot see all human beings are equal. This is how reason can understand. So everybody has an equal right. Aapka vote, ek vote. But it betrays common sense. Don't you think so? That somebody who doesn't even know anything about anything, he votes. Now imagine in a place if there are 10 voters and there are 3 persons or whatever is standing, and out of which 9 are governed by infra-rational ways of life. So it's very easy for anybody who has to woo them, will say that I am going to give you free things, and they will be happy to vote. They don't understand ideas and ideology. So democracy can lead to a chaos. This is what Europe is witnessing now. So all over the world. But it was a passage necessary for man to pass through. So when the passage comes to an end, what happens? He describes, all grew a chaos, a heave and clash and strife. Page 255. Ideas warring and fears leaped upon life. A hard compression held down anarchy, and liberty was only a phantom's name. Liberty. But where is liberty? Liberty is a word which is used. The country which has maximum invaded, at least in recent times, in the world, is the country which claims that we stand for liberty. Only the statue stands. Nothing else stands. It invades whenever it's convenient. It doesn't need to ask anybody's permission or just invades under some pretext or the other. So, liberty, creation and destruction, waltz in armed on the bosom of a torn and quaking earth, all reeled into a world of Kali's dance. Thus stumbled, sinking, sprawling in the void, clutching for props, a soil on which to stand, she only saw a thin atomic vast. Sorry. Ultimately, where does reason take us? Digging deep into matter. Oh, there is a thin atomic vast and there is quantum world and nothingness. And people are very happy. See, our Vedanta also speaks of this. This is not the nothingness that Vedanta is speaking about. But very happy. In fact, there is nothing known as nothingness. By its very nature, it's an impossibility. How to qualify nothing? Is there a space in it? The moment you say it is space, it's not nothing. There is nothing like nothing. It's just an illusion, but people speak about it very convincingly. The rare point sparse substratum universe on which floats a solid world's phenomenal phase, alone a process of events was there, and nature's plastic and protean change, and strong by death to slay or to create, mark the line next, the riven, invisible atoms, omnipotent force. All this yet Sri Aurobindo has seen. That already reason leads to that point where it discovered the quantum world and all the... See, this is what happened during Mahabharata. The kind of weapons that people had accumulated through all this technology. There certainly was technology. It was not magic that Arjuna stood and closed his eyes and suddenly arrows started coming. There was a technology which we don't know. There has to be a process. There is nothing like an impossible miracle. There was a process which we don't know now. Whatever be the process. So, we have reached that process where we have discovered enormous energy within the atom itself which can slay or it can create. So this point reason will take us. But what is the result of this? One chance remained that here might be a power to liberate man from the old inadequate means and leave him sovereign of the earthly scene. For reason then might grasp the original force to drive her car upon the roads of time. Reason will discover. This is the original force inside the atom, subatomic particles. You see, this is what is meant when it is said Ravana held all the Navagrahas and even the gods, he had made them bandi. So these are the powers within matter and the cosmic forces which he had commanded. So if you do that, you can play with destiny and create havoc. So this is what has begun to happen. So what will reason do? All then might serve the need of the thinking race, an absolute state, found orders absolute to a standardized perfection, cut all things. In society, build a just, exact machine. Sometime back even people wanted like that. Today only I was having an interesting discussion. Earlier also people, this is a problem in India, that is a problem in India. I said, basically you don't understand India. So what is it like? I say, see, in India there is nothing like a governance. It is something which evolves from within. And because I have experienced it very interestingly, there are ways of looking at it. It's not to justify corruption and all that. But see, when we were children, so you have to go by train. So you could buy a ticket. That's the standard way of democracy. If you don't buy, you have to be punished. That's the law. So you follow the law. But what used to happen is, if you know somebody as Chachaji, so Chachaji, Are beta, come. So of course, some of us who were idealists, no, we'll buy the ticket. Are, come. So there was another kind of transaction which was taking place of a very different kind, which even till today, you see, there is a policeman who hardly has meals to eat, but he is so. If you have to really have democracy, you have to make sure that he earns very well. Otherwise, he will make sure that whether mask or no mask, he will find that little thing, gap, and ask for money. Because that fellow, and When you give money, what are you doing? One way to look at it is corruption. Another way is this is how a kind of social inequality is being taken care of. This is not a way, but this is the problem that democracy, what happens, it creates a very standardized machine. You can't do this anywhere else. I mean, in a place where you have perfected machinery, you can't do this kind of things because you'll be caught. It's not just about there is evidence everywhere. If a CCTV camera has caught you, you have done an error, the whole data has gone elsewhere, and you can't just say छोड़ दो साहब हमको हमने कुछ नहीं किया, because the data has gone elsewhere. The fellow will be held accountable. But what happens when we live life like that? We get an impression that we have created a perfect machine. And Sri Aurobindo says at one place in one of his aphorisms, which is so powerful, he says, I'm waiting. Remember that aphorism? I'm waiting for Europe to perfect its organization and machinery. It's not exactly the same words, but. And he says, after it has perfected everything, then a child shall destroy it. And when mother was asked to comment upon it, she said, it's very, very powerful. The time has not yet come to speak about it. What does it mean that a child will destroy? A child invariably represents a new consciousness. A new consciousness will create complete upsetting of all the standardized formulas of reason, which is what we see happening today. And then it continues, then science and reason, careless of the soul, could iron out a tranquil, uniform world. Why do we need the soul? We have a good society, comfort. Death anyways has to happen. Whether something survives or doesn't survive, what does it matter? Why do you want to know about the soul? If it survives, very good. If it doesn't survive, if there is nothing like soul, basically it is anyways a supernumerary on the stage. This is one of the things that has been told to us. Everybody says there is an immortal element. What does it do? Is it just a 12th man who is present? If you are injured, time to time it can come, give you a little water, then goes back. Is it a non-playing actor in the whole field? But Sri Aurobindo says, no, it is directing the play. We don't understand. So, even about the soul, something very new and unique Sri Aurobindo brings out. But as far as reason is concerned, aeonic seekings glut with outward truths and a single pattern thinking force on mind. So, you see that already happening. Single pattern thinking. Aeonic seekings. Oh, when you have illness, there is a Rakshasa who attacks you. Instead of trying to understand what this Rakshasa is, this is all nonsense. We know. It's nothing but virus and bacteria. So when Mother and Sri Aurobindo say that there is ill will, there is a bad suggestion, so how do people counter among the devotees? So they can't, refute that, because devotees, Sri Aurobindo and the Mother have said that they don't try to understand. Still, because of the power of standard thinking, ultimately still it is whatever scientists are saying is true. Sometimes people put it like, they have said, bahut cheez kahi hai. Sri Aurobindo and the Mother have said many things. But it is like, theek hai. I mean, we don't argue with them. Some people even would say, he didn't know that time. I've read someone say that. He didn't know about many later developments of science. So this is the kind of reason cuts away whatever data either the masses cannot have, or which makes it very inconvenient to fit into its scheme of things. It cuts away. So in psychiatry, everybody, hallucination means it's all unreal. So it cuts away every data. That fellow is actually seeing, experiencing, he's in a real dire state. It's not about real or unreal. It's his experience of reality. Try to understand and probe it. But reason will cut away all that which doesn't fit into its sensory data. And then what it'll do, inflicting matter's logic on spirit's dream, what can be and cannot be. A reasonable animal make of man and a symmetrical fabric of his life. All are same, all are one, symmetrical fabric. And this appeals to a kind of mind. All are equal before the law. The divine doesn't act like that. So people find divine's action very uncomfortable. That's why you say, what is this? Krishna is being partial to Arjuna. How can you explain this? Arjuna is also a man, Karna is also a man. Both are equal. So why he is being partial to Arjuna? Now Shri Krishna has his own logic. But that logic doesn't appeal to the typical rational mind of man. So Shri Krishna will say, no, I need Arjuna. For what do you need Arjuna? Yeah, he is required for establishing a kingdom of dharma. No, but right now, you have to let him fight equal. That was Bhima and Duryodhana's fight. Balram says, no, you can't help intervene. Shri Krishna still intervenes. He just points to the thigh. That's all he does. He doesn't say anything. Why? If you look at it from a rational point of view, it is injustice. But this individual injustice, if he won't do, there would be much greater injustice to the world, which strives towards dharma. Now, this concept of dharma, democracy cannot understand. Democracy, dharma is rule of law, standardized perfection. So, this is called standardized perfection. Earth's revolution crowned, her mission done, and then comes the master stroke, which I basically want to read. So might it be if the spirit fell asleep. Meaning thereby God said, okay, I think it's all frustrating work. Rational animal is the only maximum that nature can build. And then he say, better let's Sameto everything and go back to Vaikuntham and other. Let only gods remain. This is what has been happening. No, it reaches this point. Beyond it, it is not able to. So beyond it, the only possibility is plunge into Sachidanand, escape, or climb a little like seers and sages to see what lies beyond. Sometimes you can do that. But ultimately, reason is what governs the life. Then this is what will happen, peak. And Sri Aurobindo says, so might it be if the spirit fell asleep, man then might rest content and live in peace. Why is he saying like this? See, the spirit creates so much disturbance in life. Imagine if you wouldn't have read Sri Aurobindo or the Gita, you would have no dilemma. You live like an animal, be cool, enjoy life, drink what you want to drink, do what you want to do. No effort is required. I mean, okay, you will have thodi khushi, thodi gum. It's okay. You will accept it. That's the way life is. But the moment you hear there is something greater, now you know it creates another kind of. I mean, it's good that it happens like that. Always, invariably, Shri Krishna comes and breaks the old pattern. But otherwise, people, that's what we read in God's labor. No, people are not happy with too much of. You'll be surprised, but I'm telling you this, I've heard from a very authentic source and I won't tell you the details. So, when after the mother's physical withdrawal, even there is a actual, they're documented that, 74 they want to now appoint somebody because mother has gone to start with. And then someone went and asked one of the people who are supposed to be, take care. And the person said that, but mother said this and mother said that. He said, with mother's going, all the mother's sayings have gone. To this extent. This is the resistance inside. Because why? Now life is cool. Now I decide, I am God. This is what happens with institutions. Do you think any institution ever follows the word of any Christian institution which follows Christ? I'm not talking of Islam, which beginning itself is, so turbulent. Islam is the turbulent child. There is some mysticism in it. But born in turbulence, war and everything, chaos going on. Any institution, whether it be, in the name of Shri Krishna, in the name of Shiva, who is following? Everybody in the name of Shiva will take bhang. That's do Sola Somvar Vrat. This ultimately it comes down to that, no? Lord Rama, who lives by those high ideals, Yet to see a person living in the name of Lord Rama and saying, I walk, leaving my kingdom behind for the sake of truth. Forget about other things, no? So, this is the or embracing Ganika, Jamil, Byad, Gid, Gajad, Khaltari Gana. Everybody embraced. That is Rama socialism. So, he says that if man wants a book, he does not want the divine and book. What he does, he wraps up and keeps it, because if he reads the book, then there is a problem. So, what most people will tell you, oh, it is too high, too difficult. Or they will casually, I have read sometime. What they have read is some quotes here and there, because it's very uncomfortable. I mean, it's an honest statement. I mean, when you read the Gita, I remember, I said, my God, I have to be equal in all circumstances. So you have to brace yourself up. Shi, Toshna, Sukh, Dukeshu, Hani, Labho, Jaya, Jayo. So you have to practice it. No, it's not enough to read it, because then you're leading a double life. So I said, okay, next time, Shi, Toshna was easy for me. Hani, Labho is also okay. But Jaya, Jayo, it doesn't matter whether you succeed or you fail. You have to be equal-minded. So people don't like it. So he says, man then might rest content and live in peace. Master of nature, who once her bondslave worked, the world's disorder hardening into law. So how does disorder harden into law? Elder is saying it is law. Whatever is being told to you according to the legal framework of the government or whatever is law. That's it. But what is it? It's disorder. Why it is disorder? Because it's not based on anything true. It is based on all kinds of false premises, and nobody is ready or willing to listen to anyone. So it's a disorder which is hardened into law. And many examples of this. So he says, so might it be if the spirit fell asleep, if life's dire heart arose not in revolt. You see, even Draupadi's Chiraran was justified. You know how all of them justified it. Modern mind will find it very shocking. But they said, but anyway, she is married to 5 men. So she is as good as a loose woman. So what is there? This was the way, world's disorder, hardening into law. If life's dire heart arose not in revolt. So we are seeing all around, along with the law, the revolt. Sri Aurobindo in Essays on the Gita devotes a whole chapter to saying why even revolt against the scripture is justified. Because there is some inadequacy. So man wants to break free from that. Either an inadequacy of understanding or inadequacy in the... so that's why, there are religious scriptures which completely control you by brainwashing and all kinds of fears. And the indoctrination starts from childhood. So even if you feel the urge to break free because you find it very difficult to accept it, still you are completely brainwashed. I was very surprised when I was once reading the, some people had interviewed the women who are burqa clad. Have you ever imagined why they accept it? So they were saying, but it is good, it's meant for our safety. So of course somebody made a good remark, said safety from whom? From family. But that apart. But it's justified. Just imagine all inequalities, it's justified. Even they were asked, men can marry any number of women but you. Yes, they were right. So long as they look after what is wrong with it. So the only purpose of marriage is you must supply dinars or whatever money you can put, and it's perfectly fine. As if women have no other place. So what happens as a result? Your emotions get crushed, and all kinds of undercurrents of evil continue. So this is the world's disorder hardening into law. If life's dire heart arose not in revolt, if God within could find no greater plan, but many visaged is the cosmic soul. A touch can alter the fixed front of fate. One thing changes and everything gets because of its interconnectedness, gets upset. And this upsetting is important. Look what happened in the 60s after 56. One of the first thing that happened was the counterculture movement. Many people felt it is a very wrong thing which is happening. But it broke that pattern to start with. That, no, why should we live according to a common social pattern? It broke social patterns. A sudden turn can come, a road appear, a greater mind may see a greater truth. This is where hope lies. Or we may find when all the rest has failed, mark the words, all the rest has failed means man will try it. Let people try, what is the problem? Divine will see to it that it fails. Or we may find when all the rest has failed, hid in ourselves the key of perfect change. Ultimately, that's the door man has to discover. He'll be pushed in that direction. Or we may find when all the rest has failed, hid in ourselves the key of perfect change. So, before we close, just one, we want to correct life or make it beautiful by external governance, by organizations, by systems, by law. It is needed when we are completely living in an animal consciousness. But at some point, man will discard it. There will be a point of time when each one will discover the law within, what is called as the higher anarchy. There is a lower anarchy of the animal kind, there is a higher anarchy. But this is a passage in which reason has its own play, but this cannot be the final. So you will see breakdown of things. Repeatedly you will see. And all this is required ultimately through this churning that man will say, what is the real solution? It may take 100 years, 200 years for the hardcore elements, but eventually man will discover that this is where the solution lies, within us. Namaste.